Chapter 2. Power Leveling. The day after Ryan was summoned, our party visited Sangria Forest, a dungeon in Parth's vicinity that housed relatively high-level monsters. The aim was to power level our new arrival by taking advantage of my experience sharing skill. The party member who delivered the final blow would normally get the bulk of the XP, but this skill allowed everyone in my group to receive an equal amount of points, no matter who did what. As a result, even a level 1 adventurer would benefit from the same influx of XP, as if they had personally killed the monster. This really does feel like a dungeon. Master. Why have we accompanied you? Mommy, the forest is all dark. Why is it so dark even though it's daytime? I had brought Ellie and Ruka along as well. Although the two of them were not meant to be combat personnel, this was a world where danger lurked around every corner. I wanted them to at least be able to protect themselves if the need ever arose. Their current statuses were as follows. Ellie, 28Y, female, human, maid. Level 5. Title. None. HP. 13/13. MP. 18/18. Strength. 5. Endurance. 5. Agility. 11. Magic. 4. Luck. 12. Skills. Service, rank F, cooking, rank D, cleaning, rank E. Ruka, 10Y, female, human, apprentice maid. Level 1. Title. None. HP. 7/7. MP. 5/5. Strength. 2. Endurance. 1. Agility. 2. Magic. 1. Luck. 2. Skills. Service, rank F, sewing, rank F. For extra security, I had created a number of golems, the same ones that had made brief appearances during my fight against the heroes, using green magic, and then assigned them to guard duty. Setsuna had cut them down like they were nothing, but she was a special case. Under normal circumstances, these golems had the strength of rank A monsters. I had assigned 2 improved prototypes to watch the front gate, 4 were stationed in various locations around the garden, and 6 more were distributed throughout the mansion itself. After creating them, I simply had to give them routine maintenance, during which I liked to modify them as well, and top up their magical batteries every once in a while. Talk about convenience. It was a bit of a secret, but tinkering with the golems had turned into a hobby of mine lately. However, while having security was good and all, the statuses of my new maids gave me little confidence in their ability to handle themselves if things ever went sideways. We need to raise your level, and Ruka's too. But master, I have never fought any monsters before, Ellie replied with a worried look. And I've only helped out a little with a hunt before, added Ruka. Don't worry. All you have to do today is hang out here. Before anything else, we need to give you 3 the necessary levels and skill points as a foundation to work from. Obviously, I had no intention of having Ryan, Ellie, or Ruka actually fight in a place like this. It was going to be Gerard, Sarah, and Clotho's job to go into the dungeon and harvest the XP while these 3 remained on standby at the entrance and simply received their share of the points. Sangria Forest was a rank B dungeon, which meant that we wouldn't be bothering anyone, as there were no other adventurers from Parth strong enough to brave the dangers. Ephil, Melfina, and I were also staying behind to serve as guards. Kel Ni, I'm on standby too? I'm sorry, but today, yeah. I see. Well, I guess rushing in isn't going to help anything. Maybe we can just talk instead. Yes, let's talk, cried Ruka with sparkling eyes. Settle down, you two. That's what I planned on doing from the start. After all, just standing around waiting is a waste of time. Might as well use this opportunity to teach them some things about being an adventurer. Well then, we'll be off, my king. Gerard, want to have a little competition and see how many monsters we can each defeat in an hour? Interesting. Is this meant to be a sort of rematch from yesterday? Yes. It's decided, then. Ready, start. What the? That's cheating. Loser has to carry everyone's luggage on the way homey. Sarah's voice faded into the distance as she took off into the sky. Despite being a beat late, Gerard wasted no time and quickly barreled into the depths of the forest after her. Sarah thinks she's suggested a contest in which she would have the advantage thanks to her mobility, but has she forgotten about Clotho? When it comes to rank B monsters, even Clotho's clones would be strong enough to hold their own in a fight. In other words, it's Team Slime against the other two. Clotho's main body was sitting nonchalantly on Ephile's shoulder as usual, but I could sense numerous clones already spreading out through the forest and initiating battles. We usually just have Clotho carry everything in storage anyway, so I'm not sure the bet is worth much, but whatever gets them fired up, I guess. Alright, how about we get started as well? I took out a notebook that would serve as a makeshift textbook, and Ruka made a doleful face. Muahaha, who said we would just be chit-chatting? I'm going to talk, alright, as a part of your studies. Hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow. Roughly 30 minutes after Sarah and the rest had set out, Ephil was keeping a lookout from up in a nearby tree. Melfina was smiling as she listened to me talk, and I was deep into my lesson. There are a total of 5 skills that deal with magic. Red magic involves fire and lightning, and boasts the highest attack power. Blue magic uses water and ice, and is more focused on supporting your allies and interfering with opponents. Then there's green magic, which focuses on wind and earth and, thanks to being quite well balanced, provides the most flexibility in dealing with any situation. White magic is incredibly powerful when it comes to destroying the undead and healing. And last but not least is black magic, which can control the dead and contains many crafty or sneaky spells. Of course, white magic has attack spells too, and red magic also has buff spells. Take what I'm saying as a general impression and be aware that there will always be exceptions. Kelni, the sound of fanfare that's been going off inside my head non-stop is making it really hard for me to concentrate. It means that you've been gaining a lot of levels. You 3, want to take a peek at your own statuses to see? Status, whoa. I've already leveled up that much? Ryan cried with delight. Ellie's eyes widened in surprise as she quietly murmured, oh my. Ruka, whose head had practically been giving off steam just now from the misery of our study session, suddenly seemed to come back to life as she excitedly tried to show me her screen, going, me too. Master, look at it, look at it. Seems like things are going well on the hunting party's side. Just as I was about to pat Ruka's head, a telepathic message came in from Ephil. Master, there is a shadow wolf heading in our direction. It is alone and might have strayed from the pack. A stray monster? An idea suddenly came to me. This might be a good opportunity to show off my summoning skill. We could do with a guard dog at the mansion, too. Don't shoot it. Let it through, I instructed through the network, closing my textbook with a soft thump. Something the matter, Kelni? It seems like a monster is coming out of the forest and heading in our direction. Ryan, do you like dogs? Dogs? I guess. I never really had a chance to be around one in my previous life. In that case, have a seat and wait for a few. 3 faces looked back at me in puzzlement. It wasn't long before the figure of a shadow wolf emerged at the edge of the clearing. With its inky black fur, red eyes, and muscles twice the size of wolves in Japan, there was no mistaking it. Ah, this sure brings me back. How many of these did we face when Ephil first joined the party? Master. It's dangerous, Ellie shouted in alarm. She knew how strong I was, but this was her first time facing a rank B monster, which residents of this world considered extremely dangerous. I was grateful for her concern, unneeded though it was. Not a problem. Mel, can you take up a position in front, just in case? Sure thing. The shadow wolf directed its eyes my way. It would make things easier if it were to head straight for me, although the end result would be the same regardless. After a brief face-off, the wolf let out a loud snarl and began charging towards me. Air pressure. I activated my go-to spell for immobilizing opponents, carefully keeping an eye on the creature's remaining HP with Analyze Eye. Once the bar dropped below 50%, I let the spell dissipate and established a contract with the beast. Half of my MP disappeared in an instant, and I was assaulted by a mild sense of fatigue. All right, it glowed. That's a success, then. Kel Nee, what was that? What you just saw was the contracting part of my summoning skill. The wolf has now become one of my followers. It's been absorbed into my magic pool and is currently waiting there. Ellie blinked a few times. So, that was summoning? It's my first time seeing it used in person. Master is so strong, gushed Ruka. Oh, right, this shadow wolf wasn't a named monster. Let's have Ryan give it a name once we get back to the house. Master, there's an adventurer party approaching from behind. Other adventurers? This place sure is busy today. I don't think I've ever seen any adventurers here besides us. Do you recognize them, Ephil? They appear to be Old San and his party. Hollow Diamond. Here we were, wondering who was in front of us, and turns out to be you, Kelvin. What are you doing with a cloth spread out in the middle of the entrance to the forest? As Ephil had reported, the party approaching us had been Uld and his friends. And here I was thinking no one would be here to bother us. Ephil had descended from the tree and was now standing beside me. I laughed awkwardly. We, thought we might have a picnic. It's great weather and all. A picnic in such a dangerous place? Uld asked with an astonished expression. Well, it's technically true, so what can I say? What about you, Uld San? You don't usually come to Sangria Forest, do you? Our party finally fulfilled the requirements for taking the Rank B promotion exam. We're here to carry it out. For their exam, they were to kill 10 blood mushrooms, 10 elder tree ants, and 10 skull honeybees. Only after bringing back the relevant parts of the monsters as proof of the subjugations would they officially be promoted to Rank B. Now that the dungeon boss wasn't around, the creatures in the forest were relatively docile. Considering the strength of Uld's party, they should be able to pull it off if they stayed focused and alert. However, this was an exam that all of them needed to undergo. In other words, the subjugation requirements listed were per person. With them being a party of 4, it was going to take quite a bit of time to reach the numbers they needed. This was one way in which normal quests differed from promotion exams. While the former tested the strength of the party as a whole, the latter tested the strength of each individual. Of course, since we happened to be here anyway, we could certainly lend them a bit of help as well, at least with anything outside of direct combat. The fighting, of course, they would have to do themselves, as it was impossible to falsify exactly who had subjugated which monster, even for those within the same party. This was because anyone with Analyze Eye at a high enough rank could actually check the identity of the person who had delivered the final blow. Naturally, this was something that the Adventurers Guild would look over very thoroughly. Lying about it and having that lie be exposed would be a huge problem. By the way, I see some new faces. Ephil I know, of course, but who is this pretty lady and the cute little girl beside her? Oh, yeah. Ellie and Ruka are newly hired maids who will be working at our house, so they're not really in my party. Ellie lowered her head slightly in greeting, and Ruka copied her. Damn it, I'm envious. And here we are, a party of only guys. You mean to say that Ephil-chan and Sarah-san aren't enough for you? The 3 adventurers standing behind Uld San glared at me with a measure of resentment. Although not quite on Ethel and Sarah's level, Ellie was certainly beautiful. And Ruka had inherited a lot of her genes. I was not familiar with Uld's companions, but Annalise I told me that, including Uld himself, it was a well-balanced party with a warrior, a swordsman, an archer, and a mage, all in their 30s. All of the men were extremely macho, for some reason, which gave the party an overly testosterone-charged a very gallant, manly atmosphere. Calm down, you guys. Don't get flustered over something so petty. Sorry, Uld San. I don't know what came over me. Uld, who actually seemed quite flustered himself, had appealed to his friends, thankfully with some measure of success. That's Parth's most veteran adventurer for you. Let's take this opportunity to get the greetings out of the way. Oh, right, I haven't introduced these two yet. This is Mel, and over here is Ryan. It is my pleasure to make your acquaintance. My name is Mel, said Melfina, radiating a sort of holy-looking backlit glow. Ryan, in contrast, offered her greeting with a touch of nerves, possibly from a lack of experience in speaking with adults. My name is Ryan. I, am Kel Nee's little sister. Nice to meet you. Uld San. Life is shit, you know that? He's got a cute little sister now too? And some kind of saint-like girl. Hold on, you guys. I understand how you feel, but hold on. As if someone with a wife and kids could possibly understand the feelings of us bachelors. Here. That's right. For some reason, the voices of protest from his party grew even more heated. Now I'm worried about whether he can hold them back. How did things start spiraling so fast? Luckily, Melfina's halo and white wings were currently nowhere to be seen. Or rather, those parts of her artificial body were merely magical constructs, which meant that she could materialize and dematerialize them at will. Thankfully, she'd had the presence of mind to make herself less conspicuous. Otherwise, we would have had a lot of explaining to do. Master, I don't think Uld San is going to last much longer. You're right. Guess I should provide my sup. We just got back, Kelvin. What's going on here? What is this chaotic situation, my king? It seemed an hour had passed since the start of their contest, and Sarah and Gerard had returned from their hunt. Clotho's clones could also be seen hopping along behind them. Hold on, is this not Uld Dono that I see? And that voice is Gerard Dono. What perfect timing. Please help me to calm these idiots down. Oh, right, Gerard and Uld struck up a friendship at the celebratory dinner after we defeated Victor. With Gerard as reinforcement, it looks like Uld has been spared from a cruel and unusual death at the hands of his companions. Sarah tilted her head in puzzlement. Sue, who is that guy? An acquaintance of Gerard's? You don't remember him? I haven't a clue. Well, I suppose you did get pretty smashed during that party. Even though you only had a single cup that time. I sighed. You really shouldn't ever drink again, okay? Looking after you was an incredible challenge, both physically and mentally. Good thing it's now just a fond. Well, it's a memory, at least. Soon enough, Gerard finished suppressing the macho group's outrage. I returned my attention to the conversation just in time to hear him say, Look, you guys, I might not know what the situation is, but you're clearly putting Uld Dono in a tough spot. Calm down and rethink the matter with cooler heads. Uld bowed slightly. Gerard Dono, I'm sorry for having pulled you into this. I should have done a better job keeping my men in check. Thank you for the help. It's give and take, as they say. I'm indebted to you for having once saved my king's life. Oh, come on, that was nothing. By debt, Gerard was referring to the time that Uld had rescued me from Sarah's neck choke. Oh, no, that incident was hardly nothing. I can safely say that was the closest I've been to dying since coming to this world. If he hadn't spoken up, I probably wouldn't be here today. And you guys. Have you forgotten that we are about to take on the challenge of Sangria Forest, a rank B dungeon? Do you think you'll be able to pass your exams if you let yourselves get distracted so easily? Sarah looked over. Exam? What exam? We are in the middle of our rank B promotion exam, Ald replied. We must each subjugate a certain number of monsters within this dungeon. Hold on, why did Sarah and Gerard both harmonize on that worry-inducing, ah? That's gonna be a problem, isn't it? Murmured Gerard. It is a problem indeed, Sarah replied. I looked at the two of them suspiciously. What did you guys do? And why do I have this sudden sense of foreboding? Master, Ephil interjected, I don't see any monsters within the forest. I think maybe. Hold on, my presence sensing isn't picking up anything either. If Ephil can't make out any monsters with her farsight, it can only mean. Sarah laughed awkwardly. Yeah, we've completely cleared out the entire dungeon. Hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond. I'm so sorry, Old San. It seems my friends got a bit carried away. I cried, prostrating myself and grinding my forehead into the ground in apology. Please raise your head, Kelvin. If this dungeon really has been emptied of monsters, that's a good thing for Parth. Claire and every other citizen will be able to sleep even safer tonight. Apparently, Gerard, Sarah, and Clotho had returned to us not because the 1-hour mark had passed, but because they had already annihilated the entire monster population of Sangria Forest. Sarah had confirmed this fact with her detection skills while they were still inside, so there was little room for doubt. The three of them had reconvened, and after agreeing that the competition was a wash, they came back out for lack of anything better to do. Although unintentional, we had still ended up hindering Ald and his party's promotion exam. Once I explain things to Rio, I'm sure he'll understand. Our exam just got a rain check, is all. And it seems like my guys need some time to get their heads back in the game, too, so I should be thanking you instead. Old San, what a big heart he has. Both he and his wife are just the nicest people ever. In any case, your party is incredibly strong. I know that's not new, but I feel like this has really put it into perspective for me, the older adventurer laughed as he ran a hand through his beard. I suppose it really is about time for you guys to have your Rank S exam. I'm sorry, what? You're having your Rank S promotion soon, right? Rio said so. What the hell? It's my exam, and I'm the only one who hasn't heard about it yet. Aha. He's probably keeping it a secret from you while he makes the preparations, so that he can spring it on you without warning. Well, that would be obnoxious. That damn raccoon dog, I can easily imagine him doing something like that. I haven't actually heard the details of the exam, but it's probably not going to be easy, being a Rank S promotion and all. I laughed weakly. Probably not. Then again, it didn't seem like he was in any particular hurry. You should use the time to make your preparations. Fair enough. We'll do what we can, I suppose. Oh, and since I've bumped into Ald, I might as well tell him about our new home. After chatting for a while longer, we all headed back to Parth together. By all, I mean both Ald's party and my own, as it was now impossible for them to carry out their subjugations. I should probably also put in a word with Rio to ask for a new assignment for their exam. Hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond. Still, a new promotion exam, I muttered. With all the promotions I've received as a special case, it feels like it's been a while since I've actually taken a test. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Are you feeling nervous, Kelni? No matter what the content of the exam is, I can't imagine you struggling with it. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Arf. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Come on, Alex, Ryan scolded. Stop struggling. We're trying to wash you. Scrub, scrub, scrub. I'm rinsing him off now, I warned. Pisha. Master, Here is a towel. Thanks, Ephil. Alex, we're going to towel you off and shake, shake, shake. Stop shaking yourself dry, I said we'll dry you off with a towel. Ahaha, you're all drenched, Kelly. It was just after lunch, the time of the day when everyone gets a little sleepy, and I was in the garden of my estate with Ryan and Ephil. The three of us were washing Alex, named by Ryan, the shadow wolf I had contracted with in Sangria Forest the day before. Having lived in the wild up until now, he hadn't exactly smelled like a bouquet of roses. Gah, looks like I'll need a shower myself after this. Wipe, wipe. All right, that should do it. Ready, Ephil? Anytime, master. Ephil used red magic to warm up the air, while I used green magic to give it direction. And voila, our brand new cooperative spell, Dryer. The must-have life magic spell had been developed through a lot of trial and error on our part. Thank you once again for your parallel processing, Miyabi. This collaborative routine of ours was something we had started tinkering with as an aside to our nighttime, efforts at deepening our relationship. Afterwards, we would mess around with our magic a bit for fun, and this spell was essentially a byproduct of that. It really does work like a dryer, Ryan marveled. The sad thing is, Ephil and I can't use it on ourselves, I replied with a wry smile. After all, the spell required very intense concentration. Our most frequent customer was Sarah, but because it was quite a tiring process, we only did it for her once in a while. On this occasion, it was meant as a welcome bonus for our newest member. Look at how fluffy your fur's become, Alex. Ryan crooned as she stroked the shadow wolf's black coat. Belying the creature's appearance, its fur was actually quite soft. Almost addictively so, in fact. And lastly, we just have to get this collar on and, all done. The collar with Alex's name on it, which I had handcrafted myself, fit comfortably around his neck. Yeah, okay, now he just looks like a big dog. Ephil narrowed her eyes in appreciation. What wonderful craftsmanship. Now no one would mistake Alex for a wild monster. That's right. And he's been prettied up as well. Kelly, Ephil nay, I'll go take Alex for a walk now. Does a wolf need walks? Well, why not? Just make sure to be back by dinner time. Ryan-sama, I wish you an enjoyable outing. Ephil and I watched as Ryan and Alex ran out through the front gate. My little sister was so polite that she even waved to the golems on guard duty. Then again, our golems were so high-spec'd that they waved back in response, so I suppose it wasn't that strange. There was no knowing if Ryan's companionship skill had anything to do with it, but she and Alex had immediately bonded. Their levels were similar too, so it was my hope that they would motivate and support each other going forward. How are Ellie and Ruka progressing? Thanks to yesterday's excursion, both of them have undergone remarkable growth. In regards to their skills, I let them choose whatever they wanted, just as you instructed. Good, thanks. As with Ephil, I did not want to impose in any way. I strongly believed that choosing one's skills was a right that belonged solely to each person. If there's nothing else, I will go prepare the bath. It will take a while. What do you plan on doing in the meantime, Master? Melfina and Sarah are having a practice match in the training room now, aren't they? I'll go watch them. After all, I still need more data on Melfina's fighting style. It hadn't been long since I'd summoned Melfina to join us. Although I knew the technical details from her status, it was no substitute for actually watching her in a fight. I needed to carefully observe her in order to get a better idea of how to best include her in our teamwork during battles. For now, my focus was on understanding her strengths and methods. Then the trial and error could begin. Very well. I will come down to the training room to fetch you when the bath is ready. Sounds good. A mischievous idea flashed through my mind, and I gave voice to it. Since it's been a while, would you like to go in together? Ephial's pointed ears perked up, and her face grew redder and redder with each passing moment. The sun is still up, so I'm only going to wash your back. Despite being calm and composed most of the time, she was still quite shy regarding such matters. Ephil-san, your ears are betraying your thoughts. Hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow. They sure are going at it, I noted as I entered the room. In the middle of our now familiar training hall stood Melfina, surrounded by numerous flowers made of ice. It was a whole field of artificial flowers, which she had created with her blue magic, each one of them proudly blooming works of art. A spell cast on the environment itself. As for Sarah, my demon companion, in contrast, was running towards the goddess's location by smashing her way through the flowers with fists wreathed in an aura of black magic. With every flower she touched, her HP, which I was monitoring with Analyze Eye, dropped slightly. So, it's a kind of magic that deals damage with contact. I could have acquired detailed information on the artificial flowers if I'd used Analyze Eye, but I had decided to adopt a spectator's point of view for the time being. Let's ask Melfina about it later. Brr. I can feel the cold even from this far away. That's 'cause you're wearing so little, master. Oh, hey there, Ruka. The kid was wearing a coat over her maid uniform. Covering her head was a hood with cute animal ears the same shade of chestnut brown as her own hair. I bet either Ephil or Ellie made it for her. This spot is free, Ruka offered, patting the ground next to where she was sitting. Guess I'll take you up on that. You're all done with your work? Yep, it's my break time. Grandpa Gerard was here a minute ago, but then he went off somewhere. Leaving you all alone? That doesn't sound like him. Given how much he dotes on her, I can't imagine him leaving her side of his own accord. Ruka. Grandpa has brought you snacks. I hope you Lee. Why are you in my seat, my king? Don't mind me. Yeah, okay, that's the Gerard I know. He's even starting to act like this with Ryan now, too. Did you also come to watch Princess and Sarah's match, my king? It's quite the spectacle, isn't it? I'm quite interested in seeing how this plays out. Both of them use a good balance of close-quarters combat and magic, but while Sarah likes to go on the offensive, it looks like Melfina prefers to focus on recovery and buffs. It's a pretty interesting matchup. I continued exchanging predictions with Gerard while Ruka and I stuffed our faces with cookies. Their equipment and skill loadout are generally evenly matched, but I suppose Sarah's stats leave her at a bit of a disadvantage. Sure, her strength is off the charts, but Melfina is even further ahead thanks to sympathetic resonance. Looks like things are about to get interesting, I noted. Gerard nodded in agreement. I think so too. Hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond. Once Sarah finally managed to smash her way through the flowers, she headed straight for Melfina. Both of her hands were bleeding profusely, and it was clear that she had already suffered a lot of HP damage. There was an abundance of blood staining the flower fragments that were scattered in a trail behind her. In contrast, Melfina had yet to lose a single point of health. With a composed smile, she said, "The power to smash through frozen Vajra Briar is impressive indeed, but your fighting style is far too straightforward, Sarah." Giving your opponent advice? Somebody's taking it easy. And somebody's yet to land a single hit on me, so, pretty much. Fair enough. But you do realize that you are now within my reach, right? Sarah replied just before disappearing. Wait, no, she just leapt up into the air so fast that it seemed like she disappeared. Melfina's eyes, however, could clearly keep up with Sarah's movements just fine. Sub-Zero Rampart. Without losing her smile, the goddess calmly cast her next spell, making a wall of ice materialize between her opponent and herself. This blue magic counterpart to my adamantite rampart stretched as high as the training room ceiling. I'm sure you could destroy this with 3 or 4 serious punches. But the few seconds it will take you to do so are going to cost you the match, Melfina commented, bracing her spear. If Sarah was to charge straight in from the front, she would end up impaling herself. Yet even faced with such an obstacle, the demon's eyes continued to blaze with self-confidence. Melfina quickly picked up on this and grew suspicious, but it was a moment too late. Jin scrimmage, right arm only. Magic the color of night and Sarah's red blood mixed together instantaneously and sank into her right arm. Isn't that Victor's move? Cried Gerard. I whistled in admiration. So, she knows how to use it. What's more, her activation speed is much faster than Victor's. Gerard's astonishment was understandable, as he was the one who'd had the most practice matches with Sarah so far, and she had never used that move during any of them. Surprise also filled Melfina's face for the first time. No one besides Sarah herself knew whether this was something she had learned only recently or if she had been hiding it all along, but one thing was clear. Her proficiency with the spell was even greater than Victor's had been. Sarah chortled. Since you mentioned it, let's see how many of my serious punches this can really take. The giant arm made of pitch-black magic had razor-sharp claws for fingers and looked ominous and incredibly tough. A grotesque monstrosity, the appearance of which practically screamed danger. It rushed through the air and slammed into the wall of ice. Hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond. The rank A blue magic spell Sub-Zero Rampart was so tough that even rank A monsters wouldn't be able to leave a scratch on it. In addition, it was enchanted with the same hydrogen phosphide draining abilities of Frozen Vajra Briar, which meant that anyone trying to break through with half-assed attacks would only be hurting themselves in the process. For Melfina, whose basic battle strategy centered around defense, this was an all-purpose spell useful for both damaging her enemies and protecting herself. It crumbled to pieces with a single attack from the demon. Crash! Sarah's arm, which had been transformed by Jin scrimmage, slammed into the wall, causing deep cracks to spider through it almost instantly. The point of contact caved in, then the rest of the barrier collapsed, with ice fragments flying in Melfina's direction. As she parried the hailstorm with her spear, Melfina analyzed what had just taken place. She didn't receive any noticeable damage from making contact with the wall. From this, I gather that black arm of hers not only increases her damage output but serves as a form of armor as well. In this case, should I focus on destroying the arm, or should I target the unaffected parts of her body? Under normal circumstances, the latter seems the obvious choice, but destroying that aberration seems like a nice challenge. You're more passionate than I gave you credit for. I like that. Sarah rotated in midair, then used the momentum from the spin to brandish her right arm in a sweeping attack. Her claws were spread wide, rushing towards Melfina as if to tear her into pieces with their deadly sharpness. Divine aspect. Pure white wings sprang into being on Melfina's back, emitting a brilliant holy aura that flowed through her armor and into her spear. During their practice matches, Kelvin's friends would use weapons that were easily broken and made to be as non-lethal as possible. Consequently, Sarah and Melfina were not using their main rank S weapons. It was a measure adopted partly for safety reasons and partly to avoid unconsciously growing overly reliant on exceptional gear. Naturally, it stood to reason that these flimsy practice weapons wouldn't be able to withstand techniques and magic beyond a certain level. In fact, the knuckle dusters that Sarah had put on at the start of the match were now completely destroyed thanks to her activation of Jin scrimmage. Although in this case, her arm had also grown too big for them to fit anyway. Gerard, of course, couldn't actually change his equipment, so he would be debuffed before matches instead, so as to remain more or less on his partner's level. This particular fight was no exception. Before long, Melfina's glowing spear was giving off worrying sounds of snaps and creaks, but she paid it no mind. The shining weapon was thrust forward to meet Sarah's approaching arm. Ha! HMPH! Black and white collided, creating a shockwave that reached even Kelvin's position. A moment later, the two colors blended together as Melfina's spear dug into the palm of Sarah's mutated appendage. But it was Sarah who burst into a grin. This spear is now mine. Having already been on the verge of falling apart, the blade had not done much damage to her despite having pierced her artificial hand. She clenched her fist and, after a brief struggle, successfully managed to crush the offending spear into pieces. With that, Melfina had lost her only weapon and was quickly reduced to a defenseless state. The goddess tried to back up several steps to regain her balance, but Sarah accelerated forward with the flight skill to close the distance and deliver a final blow. The unexpected upset convinced Kelvin that the latter now had the match in the bag. "I really am surprised. You have grown a lot," said Melfina as a smile returned to her face. Pang! What the? With a loud sound that brought to mind the smashing of porcelain, Sarah's Jin scrimmage crumbled away. She had no idea what had just happened. Naturally, neither did those who were spectating from the sidelines. Divine Aspect is not a buff. It is a spell that envelopes my body with a holy aura that purifies everything abnormal. It affects not only debuffs, but also buffs and transformations. And its target is not only myself. Clang! What was left of Melfina's spear had, along with the disappearance of Sarah's Jin scrimmage, fallen to the ground. It flickered a few last times before going out entirely. "Wait, you let me grab your spear on purpose?" "Even though you were in direct contact with the spell, it took some time for it to dispel your magic. If that arm of yours had lasted just a few seconds longer, it would have been my loss, Sarah." Thanks to the demon's acceleration, the two were now in close proximity, close enough to each unleash an attack. Since they had both lost their buffs, it was going to be their basic abilities that would determine the outcome of the fight. Melfina's magic glowed a bluish-white, then was unleashed toe. "It's not over yet." Something invisible slammed into the floor, after which Sarah's direction changed abruptly. The magical attack Melfina had unleashed merely grazed her cheek and disappeared into the distance, leaving a frozen trail along the ground. That was her tail. The one that's currently invisible. Melfina realized in surprise. As a demon, Sarah had horns, wings, and a tail. However, these physical characteristics were currently hidden by the clip of camouflage that she wore. Having used up all its power to cancel Jin scrimmage, the Divine Aspect effect had failed to offset the effect of the clip. By stabbing her invisible tail into the ground, Sarah had managed to evade the otherwise unavoidable attack. She had also succeeded in distracting her opponent for the briefest of moments. Ignoring the crackling ice on her skin, the demon poured all of her strength into her next and final assault. All of the blood spread across the ground from the start of the fight was suddenly charged with magic. Where it had been in contact with parts of the frozen Vajra briar, and this was more than half of the scattered blood, it instantly sucked the magic out of the shards of ice and sent it all straight to Sarah's fist. Crucifixion. The trajectory of the demon's fists painted an inverted cross the color of fresh blood. It was an attack that would grow more powerful the more magic that was absorbed and the more Sarah bled. A crimson flash slammed squarely into Melfina's abdomen and stained her blue armor red. "Oof," she cried as the air left her lungs. The goddess who had descended to the mortal plane had been brought to her knees by a demon.